I have read today's scripture passage countless times, but this past week was the first time I stopped to think about the fact that it says God started creating in the dark. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. In the beginning, when God began creating, it was dark. I think this stuck out to me because I was already thinking about creating in relation to dark times. You may have noticed on the back of last week's bulletin, the title of this week's sermon was originally going to be Beauty in Times of Darkness. Something happened this past week that caused me to change the sermon title to Sir with Love, but I'll get to that in a bit. What started me thinking about creating in times of darkness was Tim's and my recent trip to Ireland. On our final day there, we visited the library of Trinity College in Dublin. If you've been there before, you know it is breathtaking. There's a picture of it on the cover of your bulletin, but really does not do it justice. The main attraction at this library is the Book of Kells, a 9th century beautifully decorated manuscript of the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The book is considered one of the greatest works of medieval art. I explained in a sermon back in March that Christianity is believed to have come to Ireland through Patrick, who was born into a Christian family in Roman Britain in 390 CE, but was kidnapped at the age of 16 and taken to Ireland to work as a slave. After 6 years, he escaped and made his way back home, but eventually he felt called to return to Ireland and would remain there as a missionary bishop for the remainder of his life. Patrick is celebrated as the apostle of the Irish and being founder of the Church of Armagh. Around 521, Colum Cille was born into the ruling dynasty of present-day Donegal, Ireland, and when he was about 40, he traveled to Scotland and 2 years later settled on Iona, a fertile island off Mull. The Iona community grew to be the head of a group of monastic houses. Iona was attacked by Vikings in 795, 802, and 806 CE, and many of the community members were killed. The following year, in 807 CE, some of the survivors moved to Kell in County Meath, Ireland, while a portion of the group remained in Iona, Scotland. By 814, a church had been completed in Kell, and some wonder whether the Book of Kells was written in Iona before the first Viking raid in 795, or Kells after the church had been completed in 814. However, this discussion has tended to assume that the Book of Kells was conceived in the same place at the same time as a unified document. It is more likely, according to the guidebook I bought in the library gift shop, that, quote, similar to other medieval artifacts, the book was a composite creation, produced without overall coordination or collaboration by scribes and artists who worked at different times and may not necessarily have known each other. These scribes and artists were of varying abilities. Some of the artists were highly skilled, and their artwork is detailed and intricate, while other artwork in the book is not exceptional at all. Some pages even appear improvised in their color and layout, and at least one page looks like the artist dripped a splotch of red paint on his picture. Still, altogether, it is a remarkable work of art. And I like to imagine those monks, some talented artists and others not as talented, but all creating and relieving their anxiety about another possible Viking raid by doodling in the corners of their Bible. It was a dark and difficult time to be alive, but beauty and creativity still flourished. There's a Kurt Vonnegut quote that I love. He actually would have celebrated his 100th birthday on Friday, but he said, "The arts are not a way to make a living. They are a very human way of making life more bearable. Practicing an art, no matter how well or badly, is a way to make your soul grow, for heaven's sake. Sing in the shower, dance, to the radio, tell stories, write a poem to a friend, even a lousy poem. Do it as well as you possibly can. You will get an enormous reward. You will have created something. Since God is described as creator in the Bible and we humans are said to be created in the image of God, then I believe we are never closer to God than when we are creating. Last week, I was interviewed by a high school student. It was his English assignment to interview someone in the career field he is interested in pursuing. He wants to be an actor. And since there was a time in my life that I made a living as a performer and I still perform with Music Theater Wichita most summers, his teacher suggested that he contact me. The young man asked, among other things, what I thought was the one most important thing for an actor to have. I told him thick skin, because not everyone is going to like your work all of the time. And when someone criticizes what you have created, it feels like you are being criticized more than your work is being criticized. So an artist, whether it be a performing artist, musician, visual artist, they need thick skin, and they need to believe in themselves so they can keep creating and growing their soul and making the world a better place, even when they are faced with criticism and rejection. I am an artist at heart. Creating is what fills me up. So it's hard to believe, but I almost didn't pursue the performing arts. I sang in the school choir up through 6th grade, but by the 6th grade, choir was no longer considered the cool thing to do. I'm sorry. So I quit. And I did not sing in the 7th or 8th grade, not because I didn't still love singing, but because I was afraid of looking uncool to my classmates. Then I started high school, and I met Jim Chichira, the high school music teacher. Jim Chichira, who we called Mr. C, or simply Sir, was my all-time favorite teacher. When I started high school in 1981, I assumed Mr. C was a former hippie. He had long, dark hair and a soul patch that really worked on him. Not everyone can pull those off. He played the piano and the trumpet and countless other instruments, and he rode a motorcycle. He was fun, but he also took no crap from students. He was always smiling, except when he was throwing chalk at a student for some idiot thing they had done. Yes, the 80s were a different time in the high school classroom. I doubt you can get away with throwing chalk at your students now, can you, Chris? Whether they deserve it or not. We had regular choir and concert band in high school, but Mr. C had also started the stage band. The stage band was cool. Keyboard, drums, guitar, bass, a brass section, and vocalists, all students playing and singing contemporary pop and rock music. We rehearsed a few mornings a week before classes started, and at the end of the school year, we spent days traveling to other schools in the area to perform. Mr. C was also the music director for the musicals. My freshman year, the school was putting on a production of Man of La Mancha, and I wanted to audition so bad. I went to that first meeting, but none of my friends went. And so when it came time to audition, I chickened out. I did, however, participate in the stage band that year, and my time singing gave me the courage to audition for the musical my remaining years. Up until my senior year of high school, I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, but my math and physics grades were terrible. At the beginning of my senior year, my guidance counselor told me I needed to consider a different career path. Little did he know that I had wrestled the entire summer over whether or not I was good enough to pursue a degree in musical theater. Much to my father's dismay at the time, that is the path I chose. Mr. C would meet me in the music room on my lunch hours to help me with my college audition songs. He was one of my references. When I read the recommendation letter, he wrote, "The one thing," he said, "that I remember being most proud of was that I saved my acting for the stage." Even after I graduated, Mr. C was willing to help me with audition material. The last time being the summer of 1995, when I returned to Canada to work at a summer theater and landed a big audition in Toronto. That's the last time I saw him. I have thought of him often over the years. In 1996 and 2000, I performed in the musical Beehive at Cabaret Old Town here in Wichita, and one of the songs I sang was "To Sir with Love," made popular by Lulu and the 1967 movie by the same title starring Sidney Poitier. Every night I sang that song, I thought, "This one's for you, Mr. C." I found out this past Monday that Jim Chatira died on Friday, November 4th, after a number of battles with cancer. The outpouring of love and appreciation from his former students has been heartwarming. I am not the only one that he helped to find their voice and encourage them to be creative. But how do you thank someone who has taken you from crayons to perfume? It isn't easy, but I'll try. If you wanted the sky, I would write across the sky in letters that would soar 1,000 feet high. To Sir with love. Thank you, Mr. C, for helping me to believe in myself and making me realize that I am good enough. It has been a sad week. The day after I found out about Mr. C, I learned that my friend Danette Baker had suffered a setback. She was diagnosed with lung cancer over a year ago. She went through treatment and was in remission. But this past Sunday, she was admitted to the hospital, put on a ventilator, and put into a medically induced coma. Her husband waited until the family could gather before bringing her out of the coma on Wednesday, and hospice was started shortly thereafter. In a letter on social media Tuesday to friends and family, her husband Ed wrote, "We're going to be doing some heavy emotional lifting in the next few days and weeks. This part of life is never easy, but knowing that we share in an artistic community of storytelling that will be a monument to her life ought to give us all hope for the future. Thank you for being a part of it." You see, Danette was an actor and an educator. She was the head of the theater department at Wichita State University. Danette was fierce. She created great art, and she gave others the courage to create. Facebook has been flooded with stories from friends and students expressing how much Danette meant to them. In his letter, Ed shared Danette's favorite poem, "I Carry Your Heart With Me, I Carry It In," by E.E. Cummings, which Ed said, of all Cummings' 2,900 poems, Danette always believed this one to best express the way that humans should strive to live among one another and with one another. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere you go, my dear, I go, and whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are, my world, my true. And it's you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root and the bud of the bud and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. At the end of the poem, Ed wrote, while it does express the romantic love between people, it holds a bigger truth about the ways that our relationships among all humanity holds the world together or the stars apart through love. Every person we meet, we leave a piece of our heart in their heart and they a piece in ours. Some of those pieces bring joy while others, well, they don't so much. Learn to sort the pieces that make up your heart, my friends. Value those that bring you joy, and cast away the pebbles from your bowl of beans. Mostly, friend, just love. Love one another, and love your heart. It holds so many more people than you might realize. My friend, Danette Baker died yesterday. This week, the world has appeared a bit darker to me, literally and figuratively. Darker because we are headed into winter and the daylight hours are getting shorter. And darker because of a mentor, the loss of a mentor and a friend. Thursday evening, I was driving home from the church at about 5:30, grumbling because the sky was filled with clouds and it was already so dark outside. I got off the highway at my exit and I turned toward the west and I saw the most glorious sunset. The red light reflecting off the gray clouds was breathtaking, so much so I had to stop and get out and take a picture. I posted it online along with the words, "Some days you just need to look in a different direction to see the light." Mr. C and Danette leave behind points of light in all they created and in the hearts of all the people who love them. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. Amen. in the grocery store aisle. Sing in the shower, draw, paint, sculpt, write, create something, and encourage others to create. You will be better for it, and so will the world around you.